Is battery life on your smartphone getting better? The changes in battery life from year to year may seem small and sometimes even non-existent, but is that really the case? Here at PhoneArena we do a number of battery tests and we wanted to share the latest results where we compare the Galaxy S24 series against the previous generation models, the S23. So we have the Ultra, the Plus and the Vanilla models for both generations. And first, let's start with the battery sizes. For the Ultra, both the S24 and S23 use a 5000 mAh battery, so the size is the same. For the Plus model, we see the biggest change. The S24 Plus has a 4900 battery, an upgrade from the 4700 mAh size on the S23 Plus. And finally, for the S24, we get a 4000 mAh battery, slightly bigger than the 3900 mAh one on the S23. As you can see, the changes are not huge, but there are some changes. So let's get to testing, shall we? We have fully charged all 6 phones here on the table and we'll be draining them completely and measuring the time it takes until each phone dies. So let's unplug them and get it started. And for this first test, we have web browsing over a Wi-Fi connection. The script we run cycles through the same web pages on all 6 phones and also scrolls up and down to simulate real-world use. Now keep in mind that we will not be showing you the full test run, but instead what you see is a placeholder video, and the reason for that is that the full test takes very long hours. With this in mind, you already have an idea of what the test looks like. So let's fast forward, time to skip the boring part, and stop right here when we see the black screen on the first device. We flip it around and that is the Galaxy S23. Time on the clock is 15 hours and 21 minutes, which is an okay score, but nothing great. So we keep things going and zip forward again until the other small phone also dies. That is the newer Galaxy S24. Flip it over and we mark 16 hours and 18 minutes, which is nearly a full hour more than the S23. And this is good news, as we can already see some improvement is present, even if not a huge one. So let's keep on going, and not long after we see another phone tap out and we flip it, and that is the Galaxy S23 Plus with a final score of 16 hours and 37 minutes, only slightly more than the regular S24. So at this point we have 3 phones left and we have to go back to our time warp magic, and it takes a few more hours until finally one of these phones dies, and that is the Galaxy S23 Ultra with a score of 18 hours and 57 minutes, nearly 19 hours. Now that is a solid score. But interestingly, still left in the game are the Galaxy S24 Plus and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Indeed, these new models last longer on this test. We fast forward again and surprise, it is the Galaxy S24 Ultra that dies first of these two. It finishes with a score of 20 hours and 6 minutes. Impressive, but not as good as the Plus version. And we have to wait a bit longer until that one also bites the dust, and finally we flip it over with a score of 20 hours and 41 minutes. Unexpected, but yes, the Galaxy S24 Plus wins this round, followed by the S24 Ultra, and all 3 S24 models lasted longer than their predecessors. Take a look at all of the scores once again in this chart. Alright, we have one more test, and this one you might find even more interesting. We're back at the start, once again all phones fully charged up, but this time we will be playing the same YouTube video playlist. As the test starts, we have to also mention that for all tests that we do, we make sure to set the brightness level to the same reading on all phones using a professional display meter, and this ensures equal conditions for all phones. Alright, we're back at the phones doing their thing like little robots, but we'll fast forward the boring part and skip to the point when one of the phone dies, and measuring the time of course. And that happens right here. So we flip it over and it is the Galaxy S23 again. Time on the clock is 8 hours and 6 minutes, which is about the average for this test. We keep on going until soon after we see one more black screen, and this time it is the Galaxy S23 Plus. So once again, flip it over and the score is 8 hours and 15 minutes. Now this is interesting as the results are really close this time around, and we only have to wait a few minutes longer, and surprisingly the Galaxy S24 Ultra dies right now with a score of 8 hours and 18 minutes, which is definitely disappointing. And very soon after, two more phones finish at nearly the same time, the Galaxy S24 and the S24 Plus. Both get the black screen and both get a score of 8 hours and 20 minutes. This is super close, so we think it is just safe to say that for YouTube video playback, there is not much of a difference for the vanilla and the Plus Galaxy models. But what about the only one left, the S23 Ultra? Well, that phone surprisingly keeps on going and finally finishes strong right here, and time on the clock is 8 hours and 54 minutes. That is a solid advantage over the other ones and especially over the newer S24 Ultra. And this kind of brings us back to square one. We saw some slight gains for the new S24 models in the browsing test, but when watching videos, the results are about the same and even better for some of the Galaxy S23 models, which are older. So at the end of the day, it is no surprise that most people cannot really see much of a difference in battery life in their daily use. In some use cases, you can get slightly longer battery life with the new models, as we proved with the browsing test, but in others you just don't. And we all wish for some big battery breakthrough, but unless new technologies come around or companies figure out a way to pack bigger batteries in their phones, we're getting very marginal gains every year. Now, one way to offset that is with faster charging, and that is what other companies like OnePlus and Motorola and others have been doing. So hopefully more of that will also come to Galaxies and other mainstream brands. Anyway, what's been your experience with battery life on the Galaxy S24, and is it something that you're concerned about? My name is Vic, thanks for watching this, and I'll catch you in the next one.